Good afternoon, Mr. Wendell. My name is Steve LeCagnan, and I am the new president and CEO of the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce. We are here today for the purpose of each candidate for City Council having some time to talk to the citizens of Morgantown concerning their candidacy. So if you would please introduce yourself and tell the citizens a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Barry Lee Wendell. I use the Lee because there's other people named Barry Wendell, and if you Google me, I want to make sure you find me. I ran last year for state delegate, and I didn't win, but I made a lot of friends. And people asked me about running for city council this year, and I said, well, Nancy Gans lives down the street from me. She's a friend, so I don't want to run against her. But then I found out that she wasn't planning to run, so I jumped in. My friends that asked me were mostly people from the Bernie Sanders campaign last year. That was the people I connected with, a lot of young people. But I also noticed when they started talking about elderly homeowners in Suncrest in a negative way. I'm an elderly homeowner in Suncrest. So then I realized I have different constituencies that I have to deal with and that I am a part of. So that's kind of where that's from. I moved here 5 years ago. My husband is the rabbi at Tree of Life Congregation, Rabbi Joe Hampel, and he was hired for a job here, which was took a while for him to get a job, and we're very happy that he was offered this position, and that's worked out well for him, and that's why we've decided this is home. We live here now, and this is where we plan to stay. So what I'd like to do is make the city greener, more inclusive, more of a destination for tourists and for entrepreneurs to start businesses.
Thank you. Our first question deals with the transportation bill, which was passed by the West Virginia legislature about a year ago. And it is a priority for the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber would like to obtain voter approval pursuant to the transportation bill of a 1% sales tax increase to improve roads and related infrastructure in Montague County. What will you do to publicly promote and advocate for voter approval of the proposed sales tax increase for this purpose, if anything?
Thank you. Of course, I'm all for building roads and infrastructure, and I think that's a very important priority in the county as well as the city. The city's has started to cover it a little more with the repaving that's being done by the user fee. I'm not in favor of increasing the sales tax. I find that it hurts poor people more than wealthy people, and I would be against that. Also, the state legislature has proposed increasing the sales tax. And I would worry about people who live in border areas saying, well, the sales tax in other states that are nearby is less than the sales tax in West Virginia. The proposal is to make it 8%, and I suppose the Chamber's proposal would make it 9%. That would be very high. That's comparable to California, where we used to live, and I think that would be too high. So I would say my suggestion would be to increase the gasoline tax, the per gallon gasoline tax, and have the people who use the roads pay for it.
Thank you. The second question deals with the concept of an alliance which would house the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce, Main Street Morgantown, Sunnyside Up, the Montague County Development Authority, the Morgantown Area Economic Partnership, and the Greater Morgantown Convention and Visitors Bureau, all under one roof in a central location in Morgantown. That is likewise a priority for the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce. What will you do to publicly promote and advocate for this to become a reality, if anything?
I do think all those groups should be together. That would be a great thing for planning and purposes in Morgantown. I would wonder who's going to pay for it. Is there a building available? I might look for a building available and hope that those organizations can contribute to paying the rent for it or to buy the building. I don't think the city should be, the city taxpayer should be responsible for that. I think it could come out of the chamber or out of TIF money or the money that goes to Main Street Morgantown. That would be my only concern about it, would be how that's going to be paid for. But otherwise, I think it's a great idea to have those people together.
Thank you. Our next question deals with metro government. What will you do privately and publicly to promote and advocate for the consolidation of local governments, specifically Morgantown, Granville, Westover, and Star City, into a single metro governmental entity?
I think each of these cities has their own identity, and I've lived in places where there were several small towns that didn't want to merge, although it might have been good for them to do that. I think what we would need to do here is to start with working together on certain projects, perhaps getting a paving contractor together as a group to pave the streets, or people to clear the snow, things like that, or maybe making contracts with a cable company. Then we could talk about, see how the things fit together. Because I see us in Morgantown as a university town. Star City is a little different. Granville is sort of a coal mining town, and Westover has its own sort of identity. What I'd rather see in terms of increasing the size of the city, let's say Westover has Morgantown Mall, Granville has University Town Center. I think that Morgantown should have, Suncrest Town Center should be in Morgantown, and we should expand out in the direction of the unincorporated parts of the county before we look at the other cities. But I still think we need to have cooperation and money-saving projects with these other cities.
Now we're going to take you in a little bit of a different direction and ask you, will you publicly support the idea of using some of the money generated by Morgantown's user fee to improve state-owned roadways that run through the city of Morgantown?
I had asked somebody about that question because I'm not sure that they don't already do that. I'm not sure how that works now. I'd have to do more research on it. I suppose it would be okay. I mean, the problem is that the state is not going to do anything for Morgantown at this point, nor is the federal government. So I feel like we're really on our own. So as long as those streets are in the city, then I would think that we would do that. Of course, what I'd ultimately like to see is that we reroute US 19. So if you're coming north, it becomes Greenbag Road is marked US 119 till it hits the Mile Ground or Apartment Run to the Mile Ground, and then the streets in the downtown are no longer federal roads and state roads. Same with 19, if we could run it up across the river through Granville and Westover and hook up to 19 north of the city, then we could make those streets not the federal and state routes, and perhaps help to get the trucks off the streets.
Thank you. Our final question deals with your ideas. Specifically, what ideas do you have to improve economic development and create economic activity centers within the city of Morgantown, since most of the economic development has occurred outside the Morgantown city limits, specifically in Montague County, in the last 10 years?
Okay. I think we have to do this differently. For instance, I don't think we need to have a Target and a Walmart downtown. We have a lot of good businesses downtown, but they're small scale. I'm thinking 123 Pleasant and Black Bear Burritos and Phoenix Bakery, places like that, and some of the Middle Eastern restaurants in town and the Indian restaurants. So we need to do that. There is space downtown to build more things. There are empty lots on University Avenue. There's the area that was going to be the new student housing on the university. That's apparently they've dropped out, but there's a garage there that could be repurposed as some sort of retail facility. I think we should have perhaps a West Virginia tourism place, or a place that's for tourists and locals, that shows crafts in West Virginia and restaurants from West Virginia. I think that would, like something like Tamarack in the south part of the state, we could build that along the waterfront somewhere. And we should be a destination. I mean, when your friends come from out of town, they don't say, I've heard all about University Town Center. I want to go there. They don't, because they have that in their towns. Everyone has that. They want to see High Street and Pleasant Street, and I think that that's where we should. There's certainly more we could do downtown. Maybe if we could have validated parking or free parking at certain times of the day, I think that would be very useful also. But I think we need smaller businesses and new businesses to come into downtown.
Thank you so much. We're now at the portion of our interview where you have 2 minutes to talk to the citizens of Morgantown about yourself, about your candidacy, or anything else you think they should know about you.
Okay. Well, what they should know about me, I think I've already said where I stand on the issues that are important to you. I've lived in a lot of different places. I was born in Baltimore, and I lived in Los Angeles for 25 years, so I bring a little bit of that to here. But I'm firmly here now. I don't see ever going back there. I like Morgantown because it's smaller. It's a lot less pretentious. In LA, if you're not rich by the time you're 30, you don't really belong there anymore. So we were well past our expiration date in that town. And I feel much more comfortable here now than I would there now. I did love being there when I was younger. So I see in the city there's two ways you can go. You can look at the past and say, why aren't things like they were in 1955? Or you can look at the future and say, and embrace that and say, yes, we are going to have a large number of Muslims here. We are going to have a university with an LGBT center in it. We are going to have, things are going to be different, and we have to deal with that. That the internet is a huge part of that, and startup businesses and tech businesses, people have to feel welcome here coming from somewhere else. And I don't think that's true in a lot of West Virginia, but I do think it's true here that people do feel welcome coming here. But we have to emphasize that and point that out. And we also need to have a greener city, more sidewalks and bike paths and trees. I think we can do that. There was already some work on that. There's a sidewalk and a bike path being built on the 705. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you.